Hey, people like the video I did on MTG Japanese slang, so here's another Magic the Gathering Japanese slang video. We'll talk about Japanese equivalents of English slang terms and Japanese slang terms for Magic that we don't have. The first one is one of my favorites, and it's not actually restricted to Magic or even card games, but you can definitely use it in Magic, and that is Eado. This is a combination of e from picture and ado, which comes from advantage. This is a kind of joking, playful term that is based on the idea that the art of the card is so good it gives you an advantage, and therefore can either be used when you put a card in your deck that isn't really that good, but you just like the art, or more commonly, when you choose a variant of a card because of the art. The idea being that the art gives the card an advantage, as you can see in this person talking about the Japanese versions of various cards that were released during the Strixhaven set. Honestly, and a lot of times, Eado can just be like a compliment for that you think the art is good, but it's a fun way to do it. A very common and useful set of terms then are combinations of the kanji tan, or single, with a color. And these are just the Japanese versions of mono black, mono blue, mono red, etc. So like tan midori, tan kuro, tan aka, these are terms that are used in Japanese to refer to these types of decks. And this tan kanji is actually productive in other Japanese slang. For instance, tanoshi is a well-known term, although I doubt it predates the Magic ones, given how long Magic's been a game, that refers to people who are fans of only somebody, like a single member of an idol group. There's probably no relation between these two, so I guess it'd be useful to think of it as like a case of convergent evolution. But yeah, if you see that tan out there, it means, just that thing. Tsudashi is then the Japanese version of hardcast. The kanji can be used for moto, which is like the origin, etc., but it can also mean like plain, natural, unadulterated, etc. And you, of course, dasu, put out the card for the su value, right? So pretty much a one for one, but that's the term. The opposite of this is then fumitaosu, or fumitaoshi, which literally means like to trample, but also has the meaning in Japanese of like to avoid paying a bill, etc. Or to, as you can see, to bilk or shirk your duties. So if you shirk the duty of paying the proper mana cost, well then that's fumiarashi. Niku, or meat, can be used to refer to creatures. But if a creature is good or strong, sometimes people say nikushitsu ga ii, or like the quality of the meat is good, which is kind of funny and cute, but don't eat your cards. The verb tachikieru, which can mean for like light to go out, but also for like plans to fall through, etc., is in the Japanese version of fizzle, which is pretty simple, but really fun. Fizuru, like, fizzle, but like verb in Japanese, also does exist, which is great. If you watch my videos, you know I love it when Japanese people verb things, and yes, fizzle has been added to Japanese and verbed, so my hopes and dreams remain unfizzled in this case. Speaking of pretty much straight across transliterations, dicha, which comes from disenchant, is used in Japanese to refer to cards that do what the spell disenchant does, like destroy an artifact or an enchantment. This card is kaiju, not kaiju, not with a long u, short, kaiju, in Japanese, but for whatever reason, dicha is used to refer to that effect. Just like how I mentioned in my last video, that Jaigro is used for combat tricks. Another example of these transliterations is Baran, which comes from overrun. Now this card's name again in Japanese is not that. It's Fumiarashi, which is like to stomp and make a mess. But showing attention to the English one, Baran refers to an effect where you pump all of your creatures. A similar example of this is Bappara, which it comes from birds of paradise, and by extension, of course, though, can be used to refer to a mana dork, especially one that taps for any color like the birds of paradise does. The more generic term of manakuri is then used for like a mana creature, kuricha, right? And that's kind of just like a mana dork. And Ranoeru, which comes from Land of War Elf, is used for mana dorks that specifically tap for green. Although adding on to this, they also have Manafakuto, which is a mana artifact, which I think we could just use in English as Manafact, like why not? You can do it right now, be the change that I want to see in the world. Tsubu, or tsumikomu, which just means to like stack, is unsurprisingly used to mean like stack the deck when you put something on the top of your library or manipulate the top of it via like, Sensei's dividing top. Handesu is a shortening of hand destruction and can be used to refer to anything that exiles or takes a card out of someone's hand. Nuku, which is like to, pluck, to take out, is similarly used for taking a card out of a hand or exiling it from a graveyard. Although I don't know if that's really slang, it's just a word. A very interesting phrase then is bumawaru. Now this is a reference to bumawasu, which means to like spin something vigorously with strength. If you know your Japanese, you may think, okay, so bumawaru is the intransitive version of that. And the answer is like, no, it's not really a word that exists. But from the idea of like things spinning really fast, I guess, it refers to a situation where everything is going like extremely according to plan. You're drawing all your cards in the order you want, all your combo pieces are coming up at the right time. The deck is running at the best it possibly can. This phrase can also be emphasized as dobun, which just takes the do that you see in emphasized words, like do hentai is even more perverted than hentai. All the cases are basically the same thing. In English, we say magical Christmas land to refer to like a scenario that's nearly impossible. Well, if you're in that scenario, then you are enjoying bunmawaru. Masukan is then a fun shorting of must counter, which is something that you have to counter or you'll lose the game. A really strong card, like a creature with, good meat. And on the same logic, Masuburo is something that you must block, like a creature with, good stats for the cost. And then Mitaru is not this, unfortunately. Well, it can be. But in Japanese Magic, and I'm sure other card games as well, it refers to doing things to, conform to the meta. Choosing strategies, cards, etc. that are good, that will help you win, is Mitaru. And then very, very simply, Yaku is used for burn, which basically is a translation. And a fun one in romanization is CIP, pronounced as Chippu, which in ETB, comes into play. And that's basically it, but just as a real quick, final bonus bit of information. Generally speaking, the Japanese translation of Magic is pretty good. It's very functional, very boring. Puns often really don't get translated at all. Jokes don't get translated, but it does the job. It conveys the rules quite well. But there are two cases of, well, I guess one is potential mistranslation and one is absolute mistranslation that have happened that are now a permanent part of the game. The first is the ability reach in Japanese is referred to as totatsu, which is not used like this, right? Like reaching out. It means to arrive, as in reaching your destination. Now, obviously, look, I don't know, but I am guessing that this was kind of an error, but it is what it's called now. So on all these cards with reach, it says, they've arrived. I suppose to a place where they can block flyers. An absolute mistranslation, though, and one that's very kind of amusing, is for the card Greater Good. Now, this actually I think is very understandable, as it's quite a hard phrase to translate. If you don't know the expression for the greater good, which is not the title of the card, greater good sounds weird in English, right? Why not just say gooder or best? If you understand good as an adjective, which is its normal use, we don't say greater adjective. I don't be like, I am greater fast than you. So while this card lets you sacrifice a creature for the greater good, drawing cards, right? It seems like it was a tricky one for the Japanese translators because they thought, understandably, that the good here doesn't mean good, as in a good thing. Instead, they went with the other meaning of good, which is used quite often in Japanese, which means a product, right? Because in Japanese, gutsu is a term you'll commonly see for goods, products, etc. So the ultimate translation of this card in Japanese is yoriyoi shinamono, or literally a better product. And because that's what it is, even in reprints, that's what it is. So yes, this is absolutely an error, although I would say an understandable one, but I kind of find it delightful, which makes it a better product for me. Anyway, that's literally all I know and all I can find out, so I won't be making another one of these videos, but I hope you enjoyed this one. And don't forget that promoting gambling to children is bad, as is banning cards only once a year.